Okay, so let's see. All right. Oh, I can't even see. All right, so today, hey, welcome back to my channel. Today, probably shouldn't clap. Today is day 7 of my cut from about 130 pounds down to 120-ish pounds, showing women in their midlife, 50s, 40s, 60s, that it is possible to do a fat loss phase, focusing on basic consistent habits of monitoring your sleep, your steps, your diet, and whatever else I'm focused on. Okay, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of strength training as we age and share 3 different stories or 3 different trajectories that women in my life close to me have had since their probably 50s to 70s and into their 80s currently, and how their lives have been impacted, I think, by the choices that they made with regard to fitnessing and strength training and activity levels, really. Before we get into that, let's talk about my stats for day 7. Sleep last night was 5 hours and 30 minutes. Not ideal. I did get woken up by a cat at like an hour probably before I would have woken up. So it could have been a little bit longer, but definitely better than the last few nights. Steps, 6,436. I'm going to use my iPad here for my notes. My grams of fruits and vegetables by weight yesterday was 1,168. Protein, 109 grams. It was burger night, so I had a 3-pound burger patty that pushes my protein up to higher than my target of 90 grams. Calories, 1511. Water, finally did it. 80 ounces yesterday. 20 ounces above my goal of 60. Workouts yesterday was a 15-minute bike wave, followed by some gymnastics that I did later in the evening. And I actually had a really good day with my gymnastics. I had a handstand PR, which I'm super excited about. So we'll see a little bit of that. We'll see a little bit of that footage of my workouts in a little bit. My weight yesterday was 127.2. I will actually do a weekly roundup of all of my stats, and that'll be tomorrow. Yeah, so let's talk about these women in my life and just kind of talk a little bit about their trajectory from what I believe they did from their 50s until their 80s, their mid 80s. The first woman is my mom. She's in her mid 80s and she currently lives in an assisted living facility where she gets around the clock guidance. They're not like caring for her around the clock, but she's such a fall risk that she can't get herself up off the floor should she fall. So she needs care 24/7, like just hands on deck essentially. They make her meals, they make her bed, they do all of her activities of daily living, they call it. And she gets assistance with the shower should she need it and dressing. She is pretty much wheelchair bound. She went in using a walker but struggles with her ability to like stand up straight. She's just getting weaker and weaker that now she uses a wheelchair for most of her moving, especially anything of distance. So not necessarily a very independent way to live, and it's probably, I would guess based on the conversation I had with her today, not the best like quality of life, unfortunately. But if we talked about her activity levels in her 50s and 60s and even in her younger years, she wasn't very active. She just did her like managing the household stuff, didn't do anything fitness related, and likes to read, and so would spend time like interacting with other people and such. But as she got older and less independent, the interaction with other people and entertaining and or going out to see people left. She willingly gave up driving in her late 60s, early 70s, and obviously can't drive now. So anyways, so that's her story. Second person we're going to talk about is my mother-in-law, also in her mid 80s. She is much more active currently. She currently attends CrossFit personal training once a week with a personal trainer, where she literally is here doing Nasty Girls with 2 other women in, if you're familiar with the Nasty Girls CrossFit WOD, there's this like old iconic video of 3 women crushing air squats and ring muscle ups, and her and these 3 ladies, including my mother-in-law, in their mid 80s or 80s, were doing scaled versions of it. So that's them crushing it. She is fully independent, still driving to this day. She was raising kids, her own kids, until her mid 50s, and probably in her early 60s, started raising her grandkids. She was a caregiver to two of my stepson and stepdaughter for their entire life that they were home from birth to through high school graduation until they moved out. And that was in her late 70s, early 80s, I think, when my youngest, maybe a little bit less, maybe mid 70s when they moved out. But anyways, definitely active with her church community and getting all around. So goes to show how being willing and open to activity and fitness can impact as you get older, as you age. The third woman that we're going to talk about is my aunt. Is also in her mid 80s and very active. She was a teacher, still worked, retired. Once she retired, I think in her late 50s, she still worked part-time, is a librarian, and so she was working in a librarian until a few years ago, still out volunteering, just like my mother-in-law, loves dancing, was always active, was always traveling, was doing tons of stuff, and still 100% independent until December. She had a fall in December, which she ended up having a 3-month-ish stay with the hospital into assisted living, and then made her way back home. Prior to, she was doing CrossFit workouts once a week with a personal trainer, which here's some video of her doing a deadlift, or a photo of her doing a deadlift, dancing while in between step ups. So she was also and is crushing it. She also has bilateral arthritis in both of her knees and didn't want to get the surgery. So her reason for starting CrossFit was to get stronger so she didn't have to get the surgery, because she figured if her knees were falling apart, that the muscles around them were stronger, she would be able to be more independent. She, like my mother-in-law, were both shocked at the level of strength that they felt that they incurred. I remember them both being in the car with me one day talking about their training at the CrossFit gym and how the benefits of it, and I just can't believe how much stronger I feel in doing the things that I was doing at the gym and how it impacts my day-to-day life. So for somebody who had a fall, ended up on the floor, wasn't necessarily able to get herself up, I question if she wasn't able to get herself up in that case because she was also had a very severe urinary tract infection that she was fighting, which led to the fall. We never know. Had she she might have been able to get herself up. I don't think she would be able to get herself up right now off the floor, but she made it back home, living independently with a little bit of assistance of people coming in and checking on her throughout the week and doing the driving for her. But she was driving independently prior to that. So I think and feel and have seen firsthand, being a nurse and working with people, that the transition into aging should not be passive. We can't be passive. We have to fight for our independence. We have to fight for the strength. We have to fight to be able to make sure we're able to care for ourselves. And the best way that we're able to optimize being able to care for ourselves is to have strength. So strength training, the physical fitness we do now is what prepares us to be able to maintain as we age. So I will die on that hill, and that's exactly why I'm here doing this YouTube and trying to learn all this stuff at this point, because I feel so passionately about it and how important it is and how it doesn't have to be something we don't love, that there are ways to strength train and build strength doing the things that you love, or finding the things that you love and incorporate them. I love Olympic weightlifting, which takes care of my strength training, and I love gymnastics movements, which also improves my strength in different ways. So that with CrossFit workouts for some cardio, and I'm doing what I love day to day, as evidenced by this video of me that we're gonna see of me in the gym doing my gymnastics stuff yesterday. But I'm gonna conclude it today with this photo. In the photo, the top is a cross-section of an athlete's in their 40s thigh. In that thigh, you can see where their muscle is pretty solid and their bone is pretty big. The next one down is a 70-year-old who doesn't have any muscle, doesn't have any activities that support the muscle or bone health. So they have very little bone and very little muscle. So they can't get themselves up, and they can't resist a fall. Their bones aren't going to be able to resist a fall should they fall. The third one down in the bottom is a 70-year-old who still is active. So I am going to look have thighs that still look like the 70-year-old. That's my goal. My number one of my number one goals is to make sure that I maintain as much strength and build as much strength as I can. My aunt and my mother-in-law are evidence and proof to us all to, one, strive for, and tell us that it's never too late. We can start at any age. We're starting to see more and more people share stories of their loved ones that are elderly that are starting to strength train. So if you're in your 40s and you're in your 50s, today is the day to start. Even if you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, today is the day to start. CrossFit, infinitely scalable. 80-year-olds, multiple 80-year-olds come to my gym and do CrossFit. That's a great place to start. Anywhere is a great place to start than continuing to sit and do no activity. Find what you love and crush it. So I think with that, I'm going to end it for today. Bye.